Hey, we've got a problem here.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Multiple caution and warning, Houston. We've got to reset and restart.
Jesus. Flight, their heart rates are skyrocketing.
Oh boy, what's going on here? Flight, let me get back
One
to
at
you.
a time, people. One at a time. One at a time. Ecom, is this an instrumentation problem, or are we looking at real power loss here?
It's reading a quadruple failure. That can't happen.
We got a wicked shimmy up here.
Down to one.
GNC, these guys are talking about bangs and
Drives
shimmies
by
up there.
Harold.
Doesn't sound like instrumentation to me. Houston, we have a problem.
The 2018 Houston Rockets. We all know they've improved on defense this year. They have shooters everywhere. They have the amazing talent of James Harden. They added Chris Paul and some good free agent pickups in Bahamute and PJ Tucker. And they're the best team in the regular season at 62-14 at this point. They're a bona fide offensive juggernaut. And for the first time, you can say they're legit on defense. But I do not see them winning a championship. And I believe there's a chance that they can even get upset in one of the earlier rounds. And before I get into this, I'm not a Houston Rockets hater. This is strictly an analytical video, and I'm pretty unbiased to all the teams in the NBA. Having said that, the Houston Rockets have some obvious red flags of a regular season powerhouse that dwindles in the playoffs. Number one, their best player does not play defense. Their second best player struggles in the playoffs. Chris Paul has never made it to a conference finals, despite, as of 2017, he has the fifth best postseason player efficiency rating in NBA history. But we can ignore all that. They're having an amazing season. They're obviously an amazing team. But there are three problems that I cannot overlook that are going to give them problems in the playoffs. The first problem is Mike D'Antoni. Despite being an amazing coach, every single time he had a great roster with a great record, like he had in Phoenix in 2005 and 2006, they could never win an NBA championship. D'Antoni has an up-tempo transition offense that's predicated off of pick and rolls and having your most talented players make their appropriate reads from them. He also uses an array of creative quick hitters. Surrounding two amazing playmakers like Chris Paul and James Harden with unbelievable shooting, this team is legit. Because their early offense is so lethal, veteran teams will need to know that they have to focus on transition defense. However, the big difference maker between this year and last year is Chris Paul. He's a major asset if teams drop coverage him on the pick and roll because of his ability to snake the pick and roll that allows him to eat post defenders alive. The big problem I see with this offense is when the team has to play in the half court. They look like absolute dog in the half court, with James Harden dribbling and trying to attack his defender, and the other four players just standing on the perimeter waiting to get the ball. In other words, if a team can weather the initial onslaught they bring in transition, they're going to have a good advantage in the half court because Harden stifles the ball movement in that situation. If Chris Paul was their number one go-to guy when the play slows down and Harden was off ball, I could see this working out. But when playoffs come and push comes to shove, you know Harden's going to have the ball in his hands. Like I said before, D'Antoni's had some amazing seasons with his Steve Nash-led Suns from 2004 to 2006. During this run, the Suns would win 62 regular season games in 2005 and follow it up with 54 wins in the next season. This roster was pretty much just as talented as the current Rockets roster. They had MVP Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire, Sean Marion, Leandro Barbosa in his prime, Raja Bell, and even skinny Boris Diaw. And they were unstoppable during the regular season. However, the 7 seconds or less D'Antoni transition game simply does not translate to the rhythm of deep playoff competition. As far as the Rockets go, this is an OP offense that's predicated off the reads from their super talented playmakers, Harden and Paul. It's the type of offense that when it's going good, it's going great. But let's see how they handle adversity. The truth is, D'Antoni's offense is a cumulative process to outscore the other team. So when the competition rises later in the playoffs and games are decided possession to possession, this style lacks the poise and execution to beat the top tier teams. All of D'Antoni's teams have had this problem. They only have one strong hand. Granted, it's a powerful hand to have. This will wear on Harden and Paul. Harden definitely had some fatigue issues towards the end of last season's playoffs. D'Antoni stubbornly only plays his own style. He's unadaptable. Even when he's had rosters that clearly could not play his 7 seconds or less transition offense, he would still try to run it. As the defense picks up and grittiness comes into play during the playoffs, teams like the Warriors, who can play and thrive in the half court and transition, have a major advantage. I know the Houston Rockets defense is significantly improved from last year, primarily because of Clint Capella, free agents like Bahamute and PJ Tucker. Their defense is still suspect to me. If your best player who's on the floor for almost every second of the game isn't a strong defender, you're gonna have some problems. Another thing that plays a factor in this is the type of defense that they run. Jeff Bizdelik, who's the assistant coach and essentially coordinates the defense, likes to switch everything. Smart teams, when you're playing them every single day, just like you would in the playoffs, are gonna understand that during these switches you can find the matchups you want. And for the most part, the Rockets have good versatility. However, it's very easy to get the switch you want, and there's gonna be times where Harden is getting exposed, particularly in the playoffs. Things change in the playoffs, we all know that. However, I'm going on record right now by saying, barring injuries, the Golden State Warriors are going to coast to another NBA championship. And I think they can even do it if they're missing one of their 6 best players as well. Remember, like we always say, basketball is simply high-level problem solving. The teams that can adapt, the teams that can respond to adversity, those are going to be the ones that have the advantage in the playoffs. And the Warriors are going to have that advantage over the Houston Rockets every single time. But I guarantee that during these playoffs, you're going to see this strategy employed by the opponents of the Houston Rockets. It'll be allowing Harden to do everything and focus on stopping the supporting cast. This is a very doable goal because guys like Bahamute, Tucker, Capella, guys who really depend on Harden, they're very stoppable. The reason Harden is so effective on pick and roll is because the defense reacts to him, and he makes amazing reads and sets up other players off of this. But if you make one of your goals to take out a shooter like Ryan Anderson who can't create his own shot, this is game changing. And it's a lot easier. James Harden might just drop 60 points on you if you play this way. However, he might just drop 60 points even if you decide to solely focus on him. And on top of that, it opens up the door for him to play make. I think if you keep doing this, eventually you're going to force them to play in the half court, which is something they do not look too good doing. But if you're going to employ this, you're definitely going to have to control the pace. You're definitely going to have to transition very well on defense. And you're going to have to really, really lock down on Harden and Chris Paul's supporting cast. Clearly, I think the Warriors are this year's favorite, but who knows? It's just my opinion. History repeats itself. All those red flags, Chris Paul never making it to a conference finals, D'Antoni never winning a championship despite being a coach of the year twice, having amazing, overpowered offenses, and their best player, James Harden, who is clearly a liability on defense. I can ignore all of that. But the most difficult issue for them to overcome is the very nature of the offense they run. And I think that's just too much for the Rockets to overcome, and they're going to be one of those amazing regular season teams who get upset in the playoffs. Anyways, guys, I'm Coach Daniel from Courtical Hoops. Please like, subscribe, and let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think the Rockets are going to get beat in the playoffs? Or do you think I'm just full of shit? Alright guys, I'll see you on the next one.